What's going on, YouTube? It's Donnie P all day. So today is just a little discussion. We're gonna have a little talk. It's a good one. We're gonna talk about knife reviewing, the process, and what makes a good knife reviewer. There's a lot of knife reviewers that are up and coming. A lot of young knife reviewers. It helps to speak, first of all. Reviewers who are trying to get their start, and there's some older guys who are beginning knife reviews who are trying to get their start. And I'm gonna give you my process and the manner of importance of what you need for knife reviewing. Now, Scab, Choir Boys with a Z, Cutlery Outdoors, sub to his channel. Scab recently made a comment that I liked, and he said, when Donnie, that's me, reviews a knife, he goes through it from a designer's aspect. So like you'll see, obviously every two people are going to have different opinions on all kinds of different things, right? So where he might take a knife and test it, and I might take the same knife and test it, we could have different conclusions, or even the same conclusion with, or the same outcomes with different nuances, should I say, right? So, and the reason is because he's right. I'm a knife designer, and I'm a knife builder, right? So I have like kind of like an inside track, right? And where he goes through a knife and he just wants to make sure the knife knifes. That is the most important part of a knife review, is you need to be able to test no matter what your personal feelings are. Like, I've gone through knives that I just can't stand the knives, and I looked at them and said, oh, I'm gonna hate this knife, and I don't like this knife, and blah 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 blah. And then I test it, and it's like, all right, well, as much as I don't like it, the damn thing knifes, right? You gotta be honest. Honesty is huge when it comes to something like a knife review, because people are trusting you. And if you go out there and take a product that absolutely sucks, but you have personal feelings toward it, and you say it's great even though it's not, somebody's going to buy that product and realize, wait a second, this product sucks, and this guy told me it was this and this and this, and it's none of that. So honesty is the first thing to start with. Always be honest. Like Scab, me, there's a whole bunch of guys, the shredders, where a knife company might send you things, right? You might get into a great relationship with a knife company who will send you products to test for them, and what happens is you almost feel obligated right off the bat to only say good things about these products. It's not necessarily what you have to do, right? Sometimes, like, I'll give you a good example. Off-grid knives. Off-grid is phenomenal, right? So they weren't giving me products. When I first started knife reviewing their stuff, the first two things I reviewed, I think it was the first two or two of the first three, I completely like bashed for different things. One, I bashed design-wise, just because the way the handle was, and they appreciated it because you can't become better until you know what you're doing wrong. And then there was a little knife that I just absolutely hated. The size just killed me. But after those reviews, and after they seen what I did and what I said, they sent me a different knife and said, well, try this one then. And it was like, wow, what a difference. It was just immensely turned around as far as, okay, I got the wrong ones apparently, because this guy sent me the right one and he knew what he was talking about. But that's the thing, is you always have to be honest. No matter what, honesty works. And here's the thing is, like, when I look at a knife, first thing I look at is design, right? I want to know that it's designed well. I want to know that the handle fits a normal hand. Even though my hands aren't normal, my hands are way bigger than normal. I need to be able to know that if they fit my hands, then there's a good chance they're going to fit a lot of people's hands. So I look at that. But then I look at knives mathematically. how they're built, the arrangement that they're built, the way it's set up, what it's supposed to be made for. And that's another one. If a knife is a combat knife, it's got to be built as a combat knife. No matter how many people try and tell you that the K-Bar USMC utility knife is a combat knife, it's really not. It's a utility knife. They named it right. People took it because it was brought to war, and people said, oh, it's a fighting knife. It's not. It's not. I don't care what you say. But it's just, if you're going to put a name on something, call it what it really is. If it's a survival knife, it should have certain aspects to make it a survival knife, right? So when you're reviewing, understand the difference between different things, right? Designs are monstrously important. The designing of the knife is just as important as the use of the knife, or the functionality of a knife, what it can do, because you have to be able to do it safely. You have to be able to use a knife accurately to exactly what it's designed for, and that's where design comes in. But the knife has to work. It has to work. That's why we test knives. You'll look at, like me and Scab, we don't have a channel where we have a tabletop and all we do is from the tabletop. We don't have a channel where all we do is cut open boxes and show you what's coming out of a box. We take a knife, we take it out, and we put it through its paces. But we don't do it to the point of abuse where we're trying to say, hey, let's see if we can break the knife. A, that's completely disrespectful, and B, it's completely stupid. What's going to happen is, and you see this a lot with channels who do this, they will break a knife on purpose that wouldn't have broken if it was used as a knife, right? And then what will happen is people in the what do you call it? The responses there, they'll say, "Oh wow, I was told this knife was good. I didn't know it was cheap." And or somebody else will go to review the knife and they will talk potential buyers out of the knife because they'll say, "Oh no, this knife is garbage because I saw this guy break it." The guy broke it by standing on it or rolling over a truck and doing things that the knife is never going to do. You will never ever ever push a knife to that limit. But these reviewers are giving you false images of what this knife is all about. So that's why, like, I always support Scab, because he's going to test the knife to what the knife is made to do, right? That's my job. Test the knife to what the knife is made to do. We're not going to go out there and do things that you aren't going to do with a knife. Well, maybe some, but not to the point where it's, okay, we're going to intentionally break it so you know its breaking point. Why should you know its breaking point? You don't buy a car by driving it into a wall and saying, all right, well, I didn't die, so this car must be good. No, you don't do that, right? When you test drive a car, you drive it like you're going to drive it. So that's another big thing. Test a knife to its capabilities by using it for what it's made to do, right? If you want to have success, respond. If somebody is nice enough and good enough to you to watch your video, and they are decent enough to leave a comment, good or bad, comment back. If somebody leaves a bad comment, one of my favorite things to do is be sarcastic, be funny. Because here's the thing, when you especially when you reach a certain point and you start getting paid, the more they come back to comment because you're chasing this line of comments, you keep responding, then the more you get paid, right? The more they click onto that video to respond to your response, the more your algorithm gets set. So don't erase those comments. Let them be jerks. Talk to them, because the more they come back, the more it sets you up. So remember, trolls create paychecks. So that's a good thing. So make sure when you do a knife, the design is important. I did one knife, and I don't want to say the company because they have a good relationship with a friend of mine who I don't want people thinking bad about this company, but the knife, I saw it and it had a really cool shape. And this is what a lot of people do. They'll design a knife and it'll have this crazy cool look to it, but they don't think. They just design what looks cool but not essentially what might be safe. And that's why I test through design, because it doesn't just have to work. It has to work safely. It has to work to a point where you know you're A, going to be able to control it, B, hold on to it, and C, not get jabbed by things that are on it, right? You're not going to get hot spots and blisters, because it might not be a fantasy design, but what I call them is Phantom-me. Instead of fantasy, it's Phantom-me, which means it's their own fantasy put on paper, you know, that they developed because they said, oh man, this is going to look cool. And sure, it looks cool. And that's what happened is I said, oh my God, I really want to test this knife. And the person sent it to me. And I tested it, and the thing, exactly what he said, was a banger. It hit, it maintained an edge, it did all this. But it was designed poorly. And it was designed dangerously. It had spots on it that were not good, that were not safe. And the thing is, you have to, as a knife reviewer, you have to point out the good and the bad, right? Now, generally, you're going to have more good than bad, unless it's just an absolute piece of trash. You're going to have more good than bad. And the main thing you want to know is, does the knife work? So even if I grab a knife and I say, okay, there's something wrong with this design, I'm still going to test it, because you still need to know if, okay, just because the design's not perfect doesn't make it not a good, or is it a bad knife, you know? So always go through to make sure that no matter how you hold the knife in different ways, and how when you reach down to grab the knife, if you're going to be stabbing yourself or jabbing yourself, you want to make sure it's safe 100% all the way around the board. And that's probably more important than just about anything else, is safety in use. So when you're reviewing a knife, look at the design, look at it all the way around, feel it in different ways, see what is appealing to the feel, see what's appealing to the eye, and then use it. Because if it's appealing to the eye, but it doesn't work for squat, what's the point? If it's not appealing to the feel, but then you go out and it works like a champ, it's a different thing, right? So you want to give the people the heads up that, okay, yeah, what you intend to do with this knife, it's going to work. You're going to get there, but you're going to have a problem with this grip, but you're going to have a problem with finding a point of balance to where you can, if you're chopping, you can hit the same spot every time, or you know what I mean? So you want to let them know so they can make up their own minds. Okay, is this a challenge I want to take? Do I want a knife that I have to learn, or do I want a knife that's going to be right out of the box, ready to go? And you look at like the Beckers, the BK9, BK7, great blades, man. They're such great blades. And then you grab their cheap handles, right? They're cheap, plastic, slippery, kind of too small handles. And you say, well, this sucks. Now, people with small hands might say, well, yeah, but I love them. And a lot of people say, oh, yeah, but you put this on it and you do this to it and it makes it. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to take a knife out of the box and completely change it to make it work. If that's the case, then you bought the wrong knife. So as a knife reviewer, if I grab that knife and I completely ignore the fact that it has cheap plastic scales and the hand feels bad, or if I have to tell people that you need to put tape on it to make it good, and I don't, then I'm a bad knife reviewer. Right? I'm a bad knife reviewer. I'm not being honest to you guys. So if you're going to review, make sure you are very, very honest. Hey, get out of there. Damn dogs. And keep an eye on your dogs. But that's it. So design. The design has to be right. And if the design is wrong, you have to say so. You have to say so. If there's something about that design, no matter how good the blade works, no matter how good it works, you can get out there and you can test this knife and it could run circles around every other knife on the planet. But if it's designed bad, mention it. It's not going to hurt the knife. It's not going to hurt the knife. If people want a knife purely for function and aren't really concerned about the design, at least you were honest and you told them ahead of time. Come on. And that's truly important. It shows a lot of integrity. Come on. And I said it before with me being a soldier is we have our Army ethos, and the Army ethos is the word leadership, LDRSHIP, which is loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. That is leadership, right? And if just one of those is missing, you failed, right? So, and here's another thing, experience. If you're going to get out there and test bushcraft knives, know what you're doing with bushcraft. If you're going to get out there and test fighting knives, know what you're doing as a knife fighter. My background, I'm a combat soldier, right? I spent 9 years in the Army, 9 years doing things that some people never get to do in their entire lives, ever, right? I got pictures to prove it. So aside from that, I've been in the martial arts all my life. I mean, I've done pretty much almost everything, right? I've been in the arts forever. I was a fighter. I played 17 years of pro minor league football, volleyball player. I did so much, but besides that, I was an outdoorsman. I am the guy that went out for 30-day camp trips where we had to do our own shelter. We didn't bring a tent, right? I'm the guy that we had to find our food. I'm the guy that we had to boil our water. I've done all that, right? So make sure that when you are listening to someone review a knife, listen to someone who's actually done what they say this thing can or cannot do. And again, I'm going to go back to my man Scab. Scab, when he started his knife reviews, he used to say all the time, I am a novice at best. He would say it all the time. I am a novice at best, he's saying, I don't have all the experience, but I'm learning. And that's the thing with Scab. Scab went on these camp trips. He started learning how to bushcraft. He started everything that he needed to know for just to get you some basic knowledge on the tasks that need to be done. He was learning. He would go out there and he would study because he wanted to be a better knife reviewer. And guess what? It paid off. Scab right now is around 13,000 subs, where this time last year he had 3 subs. You know what I mean? It's like, it's if you're willing to put in the work, and that's another thing you have to do, put in the work, put in the hours, do it, because this isn't free time, man. We bust our butt to get these out. And another thing is product. Make sure you have a bunch of different things, because if you go in to knife reviewing and you know you have 4 knives and you say, I'm going to be a knife reviewer and I'm going to start with these 4, and you don't buy any more knives, guess what? You're going to run out of pretty soon. You're going to run out of options on what to do, and people are going to get pretty bored seeing your Trailmaster 1,700 times. You know what I mean? There's only so much you can take out one knife and just keep showing it over and over and over again. Make sure you have stock, and if you don't have stock, make sure you have people that will help you out. Right? We have people all the time. Thrasher's Garage. Look at Scab's got JR and a bunch of people that just send him stuff all the time. Hey, try this. So it's something that Scab doesn't own, but he's getting to use to do this. I have some knives in there right now from Thrasher's Garage that I don't own. They're not my knives. I've never had these knives. I most likely will never have these knives, even though I want some. But it's just the fact that you make connections. The better of a person you are, the better of people will be to you. And if you are good and you are just and you are kind and you are willing to say, hey, look, I noticed that you're a knife reviewer also and you haven't done this knife and I happen to own it. Would you like to test it out? And then just send it back to me. The knife community is really good. So far, I have had 0 issues with sending something out and not getting it returned. And just like anybody who's ever sent anything to me, and I thank you for it, anybody who's ever sent anything to me gets it back, and I clean it up and I strop it and I do all that and I make sure it's getting back to them in very good order. Look at the shredders that I was talking about. The shredders have had a box of Tops knives, very expensive. I gave them over $1,000 of knives to test. They've had it for like a year now, and the reason is because Papa John started new work, so he's just been gone, and he kept saying, okay, I just got to get this box back to you. And I keep saying, hold on, you know what I mean? Because eventually he's going to have free time, and now he does, and they're going to be able to do the videos, and he's finally going to be able to film these things. Why give them back before you can film them? That's a waste. So I've been missing my Tops knives collection, at least half of them, for about a year, and guess what? They're going to come back to me, and I know it, and they would have come back already, but I told them to hold on. So building relationships is going to work for you. Build relationships and respect the knife community, because the more you respect the community, the more the community will respect you. And giveaways. Don't be afraid to do some giveaways, because it's a way to show the knife community that you appreciate them. Just straight up. So that's really it, guys. If you're looking to build a channel and you're looking to be a good knife reviewer, study the design, see what it's about, understand what the design is supposed to be for. Not only that, but then test the design. Don't just open it and cut a piece of paper with it and say, this is why it's great and this is why not, because nobody's going to be able to believe you if you're reviewing a knife that you don't use. What did you review? You reviewed looking at it. And that would be like me saying, okay, I'm just going to review knife designs. What's the point of that? No, we use the knives. That's the biggest thing, is does the knife knife? Does it work? Every one of my videos, you will find out if the knife works or if it doesn't work. That's what you're going to find out, pure and simple. But you're also going to know, is it safe for me to work it? And that's monstrously important. You're going to know, is it built right enough for me to work it? That is hugely important. So that's it. To all you knife reviewers who are just starting out, good luck, man. Just really, really reach the base and do it right. Just do it right. And for all of you knife reviewers who are already out there, keep doing what you're doing. Plug away, man, because it's a really good feeling when people react to you positively because you do what you do correctly, right? It's really, really good feeling. So that's it for this one. Let's call it. I got stuff to do, man. I got stuff to do. Oh, guess what? Guess what? One of my birthday presents recently, just yesterday was my birthday. And I might have mentioned it in another video, but I get to take a race car 9 laps around a track, a real race car on a real track for 9 laps. And I think that's pretty badass. So, woo! All right, that's it for this one, man. I am Donnie B all day. Until next video.